I've been wondering for a while now whether or not the Titans of Alrest have names that are separate from those of the nations that live on them. And after getting a comment a few days ago wondering the exact same thing, I decided to straight up just make a video out of it. So hello everyone, I'm Lux and welcome to another Xenoblade 2 analysis video. This time, I'll be trying to name as many Titans as I can. Now, this will have spoilers through the end of Chapter 7, as a lot of my videos about this game do, but it won't be spoiling the plot, just the locations. I'll be keeping showing cutscenes down to a bare minimum, and beyond that, all I'll be showing is just walking around certain areas as I talk about them, so if you don't mind seeing where your journey will take you without the context of why you'll get there, then you can still watch this video no problem. The most important Titan to the story that I won't be trying to name this video is the Titan of Torna, because anything I can think of now will probably be completely counteracted once we get to explore it ourselves in the Golden Country. And I don't think the name of one Titan is enough to make an entire follow-up video about, but if you get to visit like maybe 2 or 3 more Titans in the Golden Country, then I'll probably make a follow-up video trying to name all of those as well. But for this video, I'll basically be sticking to only Titans Rex gets to visit himself and going in chronological order. In fact, the first Titan we see Rex on actually proves that Titans can have names, cause it's Gramps. Now he is also named Azurda, but even if he didn't have the name Azurda, Rex still calls him something, so he technically has a name, by the definition of the word. Now, yeah, Gramps isn't a nation-sized Titan, only one person can really live on him with enough room, and he's sentient and able to talk, so he's clearly in a completely different category from all the other Titans we're talking about, but he proves that Titans can have their actual own names. The next Titan we see Rex visit is the Argentum Trade Guild, and this is the first instance of a Titan that's settlement-sized that actually has its own name. It's explicitly stated, I don't remember if it's in any required dialogue, that the Titan that the Trade Guild hangs from is Ghormeh. Now, even without that dialogue specifying the name, there are enough clues to basically prove it without it. First off, like with most of the Titans, it's referred to as the Trade Guild Titan, like how Ghormot's Titan is Ghormot's Titan, and not just Ghormot, or calling Ghormeh the Trade Guild. That alone implies that most of the Titans with nations or settlements on them have different names. But additionally, it's also the fact that the Argentum Trade Guild itself isn't a location. Things like Ghormot Province and Kingdom of Araya, yes, they are locations, but the Trade Guild is just a group of traders who built their headquarters hanging down from this Titan so they could have their own trading floor, travel hub, and their own amenities for members of the guild and even outsiders to just go to, relax, buy and sell things, and give Bana lots and lots of money. Additionally, you've got a few locations in the Trade Guild headquarters that have the name Ghormeh attached to them. You got the Ghormeh Flight Deck, the Ghormeh Warehouse, probably a couple others I'm not thinking of right now. And there's also the fact that most Titans are separated into several different skip travel regions. Like if we're just thinking of Ghormot, you've got lower level, 2 sections of the upper level, Torgoth, and the Titan Battleship. The Argentum Trade Guild is only divided into one section, so it's actually not really divided at all. And that one section is called Ghormeh. There's another cool connection you can make between Argentum Trade Guild and Ghormeh, and you might be able to see where I'm going with this. This is kind of only there in the English version, because the Japanese version names all the major regions after one of the 7 deadly sins in Latin, but the English version instead sometimes translates the name of the sin directly into a different language, or sometimes gives it a little bit of a more obscure or metaphorical meaning. For example, Ghormot is Gula in the Japanese version, which is literally just the Latin word for gluttony, while gourmand is derived from the French word gourmand, someone who enjoys food. The same is true for Argentum, which is focusing on the sin of greed. In the Japanese version, it's just avaricia. But Argentum is still Latin, but it's the Latin word for silver, as in coins made of silver. The reason silver is Ag on the periodic table comes from when people spoke Latin and referred to silver as Argentum. And then you've got a titan called Ghormeh. Look at that. Silver and gold, which actually makes me think that the trade guild discovered the titan on their own, decided to build their headquarters hanging from it, and then christened the titan Ghormeh to either go with the name of their company or go with their theme of making money. Now, after using it for so many examples, we move on to Ghormeh itself. This is probably the most straightforward out of all of them, and that's because it has a location in it that's specifically talking about a body part of the titan and uses a proper name in it. The only location in the upper level left section of the Ghormeh province is called Melnath's Shoulder. And hey, guess what? That area is kind of on one of the front shoulders of the Ghormeh Titan, which directly leads me to believe that the Titan's name is Melnath. Moving on to Araya, I don't have a specific one name in mind, but I do have 3 possible ones. The first one was the one suggested by the original comment that inspired me to make this video. The landmark Cataracts of Ruha in the head area, which would make the Titan's name Ruha. Now, that is in fact a possibility because it's the only blank of blank, it's the only possessive location in the entire head area, but there are several locations in the stomach that are possessive. There's Pelza's Sluice and Laska's Gap. Those were obviously named after people, but it kind of can go either way, whether or not Cataracts of Ruha are Ruha's cataracts or the cataracts inside the Titan of Ruha. We've also got the only 2 repeating proper names in anywhere of Araya that's not like something directly related to the name of Fanzamaima or Garfunt, which is Jebus Cavern and Jebus Outlook, which would name the Titan Jebus. Now, those locations obviously are close together, so they could just be, again, both named after the same person who discovered or lived or explored both of those areas and just named them both after themselves. But it is worth noting that those are the only 2 repeating names. The last idea I have probably has the least going for it, and that is Olethro. Titan could be named Olethro, because there's the Olethro ruins, and they're a big important thing that seems to be some sort of old civilization that lived on the Titan, and I could see the original civilization choosing to settle somewhere, just naming their region after their Titan too, so the ruins of Olethro could be on the Titan Olethro. That just makes sense to me. I'm not sure if it works for you. Morar Dayne's Titan is actually surprisingly hard to find a name for. My original idea was Smuid, or however you pronounce that name, because it has 2 named locations in Alba Kavanik, as well as its own power plant that has the same name too. I then realized that it's probably just all named after the same thing, because there's a Smuid Mountain, a Smuid Hot Spring, and a Smuid Power Plant. It appears that this mountain is just geothermally active, and they're harnessing it for both a hot spring and for power, and they just named both the spring and the power plant after the mountain they were set on. The original comment mentioned a location called Valdorm's Mound, but I'm kind of inclined to disagree. It's just another proper name '(s) thing. Melnath's Shoulder worked because it was talking about a body part of the Titan. But Valdorm's mound, well, a mound isn't a body part, it's just a regular landform, so I'm more inclined to believe this is just a mound named after a person. The other idea I had was Chansa, because the Chansa Wastes are the largest part of the Titan that you can explore, and I was kind of thinking like, oh, there's always Hyrule Field in Hyrule in Zelda games, and there was Termina Field when it took place in Termina, so it could be one of those things going, but that's really the biggest lead I have for more Dayne. The Xenoblade Wiki states that the Titan the Indoline Praetorium is on is called Indal, but don't listen to them, that is false. It's referred to as the Indoline Titan multiple times in the story past the chapter 7 point, so that is in fact a false piece of information, but there are a few locations that possibly could be a name for the Titan. There is Saoris Plaza in the Indoline Sanctum, which is kind of a possibility, but Saoris just sounds like a location name or being named after a person, possibly an old praetor or something. It's in fact possible that the Titan itself was named after maybe the first praetor of the Praetorium or something like that. Not really sure about that. There's also the Yanath main gate in the city area, which could be the name because it's the main gate on the Titan, and like emissaries from the Praetorium can exist off the Titan, so the Praetorium itself kind of isn't a place either, and that's a possibility. And then there's also Goetuis or Goetui, not sure how that's pronounced either. It's the name of the port on the Titan, which makes the most sense for the port to be the name of the Titan here because it's kind of a small Titan. The only thing on it is the Praetorium itself, so that port is the port for the whole Titan. It'll get you anywhere you need to go because the only thing nearby is like the one town and then the Praetorium behind it. So that's also a possibility. I'm kind of most inclined for Goetuis myself, but Yanath and Saoris are also possibilities. Next up, we're moving to a region that's actually in between Dayne and Indal, and that's Leftheria. I'm just doing a little bit of a test to see how many people didn't watch the entire video through and are yelling at me in the comments, reminding me that I forgot Leftheria before, actually watching far enough. Leftheria is different from most of the other regions, because it's not its own sovereign state, really. I don't see any actual leadership around it. It's just a loose connection of surrounding islands that are made up of smaller titans that form an archipelago. Now, because of that, and because there are so many islands, I'm inclined to believe that a lot of the islands, like Darum Isle or Baldatus Isle, are just the names of the titans that that island is on. I was originally going to go a bit deeper into the main titan of the archipelago, where Fonset Village is located, even though it is specifically called Fonset Island, just because it's the most likely out of all of them to actually have its own name. But combining all the locations in the village and in Spirit Crucible Elpis, there's really only one proper name that isn't obviously a resident of Fonset, and that is Lavi from Underground River Lavi, but even that is very obviously just the name of the river and not possibly standing for anything else. So I guess just everything in Leftheria, if the island has a specific name, that is also the name of the Titan. I'd imagine things like the Isle of Sleeping Remains without a proper name to itself does have its own Titan name, it's just not known in-game or never actually told to you. Next up, we've got Temperantia, and hey, we're done, it's called Temperantia. That's because it's a Titan without an extant nation on it. So the only name they have for it is just the name of the Titan itself, being Temperantia. You can actually back this up by the fact that one of the regions in Temperantia is the lost capital of the destroyed nation of Judicium. So you had the Kingdom of Judicium on the Titan Temperantia. Different name for the region and for the Titan, plus the fact that the only name that could possibly even be used anymore in the present day is the name of the Titan itself. So yeah, there you go. We're done. And guess what? The next Titan we've got is Genbu, which is the Titan of Tantal. And hey, that one we're told directly. It's kind of important to the story that it's actually called Genbu and not the Tantalese Titan or something. Plus, you've also got Genbu Port, as the main port of the Titan, which, just based on the way Tantal operates and the fact that they don't let outsiders in or insiders leave particularly often, it makes sense that there's only one port for the entire Titan and that it would be named after the Titan, which kind of also lends credence to Goetuus for Indal. So hey, that's 2 Titans that are pretty easy to just knock out right off the bat. And at last we arrive at probably the hardest of the bunch, the Cliffs of Moratha. Indal was kind of hard because it was a small Titan, but it had a fair share of proper names. Dayne was hard because it didn't have too many proper names that would make sense despite being a large Titan. Furia was hard because it was a lot of Titans. The Cliffs of Moratha is hard because it's a tiny Titan without many locations and without many proper names, and most of the proper names are assigned to a specific thing. We also have no idea at all whether or not there was actually a full nation on it. There are a few ruins and an old shrine, but other than that, it looks like it might just be some sort of old religious area, which would kind of imply that Moratha, or Cliffs of Moratha, was just the original name of it, and it just kept that even after dying and everyone moving off. Of the proper names we do get, the majority of them are very obviously only applying to one specific thing. Balcor's Ruins, just the ruins of Balcor's. Runo Cave-In, a cave-in named after Runo or by Runo or just called Runo. Chehen Slope, just applying to the slope. Adora Cave, just applying to the cave. Linka Hive is literally just a hive of insect-based enemies. That's definitely not the name of the Titan. And then you've also got Cape O'Uru, just the cape. Gotrek Oracle Ruins, just those ruins. Hallowed Godswood Shrine. I think Godswood is just actually the name of the construction material for the shrine, not even the name of the shrine itself. So yeah, Moratha is kind of the only name that actually makes sense. And while, yeah, because the region of itself is called the Cliffs of Moratha, it makes sense for it to be the only proper name to be repeated, but you've got Cliffs of Moratha Inlet and Moratha Falls. The fact that there is also a location that has the name Moratha without the Cliffs of prefix kind of implies to me that, yes, this Titan's name is Moratha. That's all I've got for today, but hey, look at this, I'm trying out a new end card, and by that I mean actually putting production value into my end cards. So, if you like the video, do the normal like, comment, and subscribe thing. If you have any other video suggestions for any of the Xenoblade series, I'd be more than willing to look at them and see if I can make a video out of that. But, until next time, this is Luxon, signing off.